and action. Hi, welcome. This is Lady Poetic. I've been doing a lot of reflecting on the mixtape since it dropped. It's been a little bit over a month now, so I just wanted to share some of my thoughts um, and recollections and reflections with you as we move forward on to some of the next projects. So first and foremost, thank you and welcome to all the subscribers, current and new. Hip hop lives here. So welcome and thank you for joining us. I want to share some thoughts. Overall, I'm very pleased with the outcome of the album, the distribution, the reception, and the music itself. Overall, I'm pretty pleased. If I had to quantify this, I would say that the album turned out maybe 87 to 90% of how I wanted and intended it to. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I try not to be too hypercritical or get discouraged, but that's fair. That's decent. We can work with that. It was definitely a learning curve for me as far as navigating ways to promote this and distribute this and market it without selling it. And it was definitely a learning curve. So I'm very fortunate that I have access to very good friends and a music crew and people in the industry who are willing to give me advice and tips. So thank you to each and every one of you for that. Um, Earlier this week, I received word that some of the physicals had made it to Europe, and that really made my day. It made my week. I'm still beaming off of that. So that's just a really cool experience. So I'm glad to have my music out there. It's a pretty cool feeling. Um, Thinking about some of the highlights, some of the silver linings for the album, I would say that it was very special to get together again with some of my producers that I've known for the last 17, 18 years and to collaborate once again. Shout out to Xprint and LB. I think that our songs together on this album turned out fantastic. Definitely, those are some of the personal highlights for me. I want to give a shout out to Anno Domini. So I really enjoyed working with these beats as well. I'm very glad that I've had a chance to either meet or interact with or know personally all the producers on the album at some juncture or another. So that's very cool. Very cool. As far as the features go, I've been reflecting a lot about that, and I think it's awesome that Kedrian and I got to collaborate on this. This is an up and coming artist from South Africa, and I think that Wavelength turned out fantastic. It's such a special song. I think the beat is dope. I think the lyrics are fantastic. So this was just a very exciting collaboration, and I'm very pleased with how the track turned out, and I think it's great. So it's good to have two MCs from different points in the globe, grinding and working at it and collaborating and making music together, because that's what it's about. Especially I think for independent artists and for me, we should build together and work together and celebrate hip hop together. So cheers. Yeah, shout out to Wilkshake. I think his verse was dope. A lot of great bars in there. We just played off each other so well on the Urban Chronicle cipher. So yeah, he came with it. He came through. He came through, and it turned out wonderfully. I'm going to circle back to this track and this concept in a minute, but yeah, just to give a moment to shout out to Wilkshake for staying in contact over all these years and for collaborating with me in the hip hop sense. It's been a pleasure and it's been an awesome, rewarding friendship. So cheers to you, buddy. Um, Shout out to Jan Connor. I think that this verse was amazing, incredible. I'm very blessed and humbled to have a Jan Connor exclusive verse on my album. Don't sleep on it. Castles Rising. This is a dope song. I really like the way my tone of voice sounds on this. I think that the flow is pretty good on this. The bars, the concept, it's really cool. I wanted to make a music video for this song actually, and I still might. We'll see. But that turned out very well, and that was a really cool experience. Jan was very professional and kind, and very quick turnaround on the verse. So that was a really cool experience to have. I discovered Jan Connor through Temple of Bars, so it's pretty neat to discover an artist, and then some months, almost a year later, get to actually do a song with them. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mentioned and reflected before and talked about it a little bit with the track listing video that I dropped some months back about the KRS-One verse. Clearly, it's not customer exclusive to me. There's other variations of this song that exist. The "Wanna Leave" with this song, with the beat, with this feature. I really enjoy Concrete's version of this. Also discovered Concrete through Temple of Bars. So, Concrete, if you ever see this, let's collaborate. I'm digging your work. So, yeah, yeah, controversial, sure, absolutely. Also, I want to be supportive of my friends' projects and what they're doing with these. So I wanted to give it a try. We're imperfect, and I thought about it, but I think that the song itself turned out pretty well. I worked for quite some time on the vocals for the singing hook. As I mentioned before, I really wanted to bring out this R&B feel to it and really belt out the vocals the way I could hear them in my head. And this was as close as I could get. So yeah, it turned out great, and it would be amazing to one day actually be in the booth with KRS-One. Wouldn't that be dope? But we'll see. All good things in time, and for working hard and continuing to grind. So all right. Um, I also have been reflecting and want to give a shout out and a thank you to my friend Matthew, that's M80, for all but insisting that I get this album professionally mixed and mastered down. I was very close to mixing it myself, and I watched YouTube videos on how to do it. And I thank the stars and Matthew for just for pushing me and propelling me forward to get that piece done. And that made a world of difference for the quality of the album. So thank you. And thank you to John for that. Also, thank you to Matthew for suggesting that the artwork be done professionally, that it look a certain way. Um, I could share some of the artwork that I did for the cover for you, for this cover for you, and it's pretty subpar, pretty mediocre. But I like to do everything myself. That's it. I'm determined in that way, and I like to be independent in that way. So as much of something as I can do on my own, I prefer to do it that way. It's just a thing. So yeah, I think shout out to Chris Basiaga. He did the artwork for the album, and it's amazing. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback and compliments there. Um, yeah, yeah, cool stuff. All right. Um, the other highlight for me, and this goes back to the producers and one of the features on the album for me, Wilk, but it's so cool to me to reconnect and stay connected to people from all over the world in regards to music and what brought us all together. And I think about that, what brought us together initially was through music, was through hip hop, and specifically through Cannabis's music. So listening to Biss, from an early age on for me, like right when he started dropping, and then getting to know a lot of these folks through the Cannabis Central forums and the Cannabis Infinity forums and the Spit Boss crew. Um, and then just moving forward with these relationships and these bonds that we formed through music and hip hop after all these years, it's such a wonderful and special thing. So yeah, much love to my crew. I really I appreciate you all very much. So I'm glad we could still stay in contact and ride together after all these years. Yeah, that's the biggest highlight of this for me. Um, as far as the struggles and stressors that went into this, well, the time, I would say time is perpetually a big stressor for me. I consistently feel like I don't have enough time to do everything I want or need to do. So I get it in where I fit it in. I carve out time. I make time. Oftentimes for this album, I would burn the candle at both ends. I would come home from, my day at work, spend time with my family, and then even, cut into sleep sometimes to get a few more hours of work in. So yeah, there were some nights where I would just work on this album for hours, practicing, writing, all kinds of things, figuring out the different aspects of the music videos and the editing there. So yeah, big learning curve for me. I learned quite a bit, what to do, what to try again, what not to do, what to work on. Um, so yeah, the time frame, and I had to set a release date for this. At some point you just needed to set a date and stick with it. And that was hard for me because on one hand, I had my verses recorded and ready to go by a certain date. And I had thought about, a release party and doing this a certain way, but I was hopeful and waiting on certain things to line up. And life happens, and I want to meet everyone on a certain wavelength, and for us to all be in this together. There were features that didn't make it on the album, and that stressed me out, and it still makes me feel a certain way, and I feel bad about that. I feel awful about that, because these are my boys and my cousin, and I wanted them all to be on the album with me. I really did. I love you guys very much. Um, it couldn't line up in the time frame that I needed it to drop by, so I had to move forward. And had it not, it was kind of like, well, it's either drop it now or by this date, or wait till next year, wait till next summer, potentially. I mean, it could have dropped maybe later this year, but it wouldn't have made sense for a few reasons. I've touched on a few of these reasons before why it came out when it did. Um, so yeah, clearly, I struggle with that, and I feel some kind of way about that. But it's more of a thing for me internally and introvertedly, because I'm hopeful that each and every one of them will continue to ride with me and be on future albums, and we'll continue to work on collaborating together. But I wanted to get that out there and speak on that, because it's important to me, and you all are important to me. So all right. So yeah, moving on, just reflecting about how to line things up moving forward. That will be most helpful for me. I definitely notice as I'm listening to the album over and over again, I bump the CD in my car. That's what's up. And definitely have pinpointed some things that I need to work on as an artist. Um, I would say that I need to tighten up my flow, especially on some of these beats. I experimented with different types of flows and delivery, and with different BPMs. I still haven't found my sweet spot for a BPM, I don't think. It's probably somewhere in the 80 to 90 range. But that's something I need to keep working on. But also, too, some of these beats just have a lot of moving pieces and instrumentations and things like that going on. So sometimes I find myself like spitting to a different part of the beat or the layers, and not necessarily with the bass line. And then also sometimes too, my brain is working faster than the beat that I'm hearing, so I'm spitting out the words at a different pace than the beat, and it doesn't quite line up. So that's something I just need to keep working on and practicing, which I'll continue to do. What else? Just try not to rush or get discouraged. I'm hypercritical enough. I'm open to critiques. I thank everyone who's given me advice and feedback and tips and all that. I'm very appreciative. Keep it coming. I'm open to that. But yeah, I am hypercritical, and I'm already thinking of these things too, a lot of them. So um, just trying to have reasonable expectations, and we're still learning. I mean, I'm independent. I don't have anyone guiding me on this. I run things past my crew, of course, but this is me as an underground independent artist. So I love what I do. I love doing this, and I'm going to keep doing it, because we've got some new projects on the table. I've got 5 projects on the table right now. Some have some more priority than others. But yeah, over time, and hopefully still later this year, we'll get you some new Lady Poetic material and company. So, all right. Well, cheers. Thanks for listening through with that. Um, shout out, holler at me if you want to collaborate, if you've got ideas or feedback. Um, yeah, shout out. Let me know where you're from, and peace and blessings to you all. Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop. All right, cheers.